Well, hello. Today is all about a great fall thing, which is making pear butter. So you may have watched, I have done an apple butter video before. And why I love it is fruit butters, especially pear and apple, are super easy. And I like to make them even more easy by making a crock pot do all the work. Why sit over a stove, stirring, watching, when you don't have to? You can put all the ingredients right in here. And do you notice? Yeah, no, I don't peel them. And you can put in the spices and everything and let it just cook and cook and cook. And then you get a delicious pear butter. That is the best part of this. And so just like apple butter, a lot of it is the same with slightly different spices and flavors, but we're just gonna get ready all the pears, which I have most of them ready, put them in there and then put everything together and you're good to go. What I love is, in the fall, we're in a different mood. We don't maybe feel like doing as much canning and preserving, but this is something that's a little bit easier, and maybe you can use something you happen to have. I have a lot of red Bartlett pears this year, so I'm using those. Now I have a few left to par, and now, like I said, I am not taking the peels off. Instead, I'm just slicing them in quarters and taking out that center core, because it can be tough. Now, any pear, and I mean this when I say it, any variety of pear is gonna be delicious in pear butter. Once they cook down and cook with the spices, they're gonna get dark and beautiful. You're not even gonna notice the different types of pears. The one thing I will say is, certain varieties of pears can sometimes be a little bit grainy, and when you eat them fresh, no matter how ripe they are, not ripe they are, you're gonna notice that graininess. That could kind of come through in a pear butter. So how do you know if a pear is good for pear butter? Taste it. If it's a delicious pear, it's perfect for pear butter. So that's the one thing you wanna remember. Otherwise, any pear will work. Now, if you're worried and saying, I don't want skins in my pear butter. Yeah, I had some of you think that in my apple butter too. And then you tried it. The thing is, once it cooks for so many hours and slowly cooks down into this really soft, delicious butter, guess what? All of these skins go completely almost away because then we blend it and we get it all combined and you don't notice they're there at all. So once the pears are in your crock pot, and yes, this is a large crock pot, but you could split this recipe down by half to fit a smaller crock pot. This is a 7-quart crock pot. Or you could also, make it work in 2 crock pots, whatever you happen to have. So now we can talk about everything that goes into it. So we're gonna start with some acid, a little bit of lemon juice. Now, lemon juice in general, we use it in a lot of recipes because why? It wakes everything up. It just kind of brightens it up. It helps to meet a natural flavor pop. So with this, obviously, we want the pears to shine through. So we want them to have some good flavor. So this little bit of lemon juice is actually gonna help wake them all up and kind of help you taste it even better. So since we don't wanna cover up the pears, we are not gonna add a huge amount of sugar. Pears have a lot of sugar. We're gonna add some honey. And now I use raw, unfiltered honey, so it always looks thick and kind of crystally. But I'm just adding, it's honestly a small amount compared to the amount of pears we're having. Now, a lot of older recipes or fruit butter recipes that you're gonna see are gonna be lots and lots of sugar. There's really no reason for that when you have so much natural sugar in the fruit. And we want that to come through. So when you put too much sugar in something, it kind of takes away. So I'm gonna add a few cinnamon sticks. Now, I'm using cinnamon sticks instead of ground cinnamon because I think the flavor, there's something about it that it intersperses the flavor without sometimes that little bit of graininess that you can get from the actual ground cinnamon. So I'm putting in the sticks, we'll fish them out the end. I'm gonna put in some ground ginger. It's kind of those warming fall spices. What I love is, this is something my sister actually makes a lot for my nieces and nephews because they love it. So if you haven't had a fruit butter like a pear butter or an apple butter, this is something that you can use on special occasions. It's like a jam, so you can use it on your toast, on your bagels, on whatever you want, and it's delicious. The final spices we're gonna add are, I'm gonna actually put them in a little cheesecloth bag. Now, if you don't have a pre-made bag, I get it. They just make things easier. You can just take a piece of cheesecloth, a square, tie it up with some natural, twine. So I'm gonna take some cloves, and it's important that you count out the cloves because you don't wanna do too many and you don't wanna do too few. We're doing whole cloves. Again, we will just take out this bag when we're done, and that's the perfect part. And then what we're gonna do, that was one too many, we're gonna do some whole cardamon for the same reason. So I like whole cardamon, and what I like to do is take out my whole pods. So inside of these pods, that was way too many, are all the little cardamom seeds. And that's so when you get ground cardamom, you're getting all these ground up seeds in it. That's what's inside of these pods. But instead, these pods are gonna kind of soften the flavor and give you just kind of the essence of it without too much, which is what I like. So we're gonna put them right here into the bag, which, yeah, that's gonna be a mess with Caleb doing it. I don't ever plan things well. So right there into the bag. And then this has a drawstring, so you can just literally tie it up. Now what I do like to do, this is just me, those cardamom pods, it's kind of nice if you can break them up with something. So I take like a jar and I just kind of pound them. Again, the reason I'm not using ground cardamom, ground cloves, sometimes you can get a little bit of a graininess. The ginger disperses and goes to nothing, but sometimes those other ones can kind of leave a gritty graininess and be too strong a flavor. This way we're gonna flavor it just enough, and then we're good. So the last thing that I like to add, if I can, is some vanilla beans, the caviar and the beans. Now, I understand if you don't have vanilla beans or don't find an easy way to get them, I totally get it, that it could seem hard to get. So you could add vanilla extract, you could add vanilla bean paste, but there is just something special, I think, about adding these beans. So I split them, I turn them kind of sideways, scrape out, look at all those seeds that are gonna go into this. And I put in not only the seeds, we're gonna put those in, but we're gonna put in the bean too, because that bean still has so much flavor in it. So we wanna get out all that wonderful inside, all those wonderful seeds that are going, I mean, look at that. Can you imagine when this is done, when it's mixed up, when we're gonna blend it, you're gonna get all of those pieces of seed. Not only that, but you're gonna get tons of flavor of real vanilla, which there's really nothing like it. Now, of course, vanilla extract is gonna give you that great vanilla, but this gives you even something more special. So when you're going to make something like this, why not go all the way? Why not make it the best you can and the best of the season? So at the end, we'll fish out these beans. We will fish out the little bouquet we made there and the cinnamon sticks. But until then, we're gonna let it sit. I'm gonna turn this on. We're gonna let it sit overnight. That's the best part of this, is that it really is super easy. And that's what I love about it. It's gonna cook down, do all that work for us, and that's exactly what you want. Let it sit, let it cook down, do the work. Tomorrow we're gonna process it, which means we're gonna make it shelf stable. But you could also just freeze it at that point, like I do my apple butter. It works either way, so it's whatever you wanna make it. That's the best part of this. You're gonna be excited. It's the next morning, and I've let this cool off for a little bit. So for me, it usually takes anywhere from that like 12, 13 hours. And in the last 5 hours, I always kind of let the lid off while it's cooking, and that way it kind of just continues to condense and cook off a lot of excess moisture. You want some of that liquid in there, but you just don't want too much. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna fish out. So we have those vanilla bean pods, beautiful. And then we're gonna fish out where we have that little bouquet that we made of the cloves and those cardamom pods. And as you're stirring it, you can see, look how everything has really broken down. It's extremely broken down. So I'm gonna get the cinnamon sticks out too as I'm stirring it. You sometimes have to look for them, there they are. And then we can just do the fun part, which is really what is gonna turn this into a butter. We're just gonna blend it. And you could use an immersion blender, you could use a food processor. I find if you have a high-powered blender, it will get it the most smooth and like perfect butter you can. Now the reason I turn this off for a couple hours before I blend it is because when you blend anything, especially, you know, you wanna be careful. If it's hot, it can kind of cause too much steam and you have to be a little bit more careful. When I let it cool down a little bit, I just find it blends a lot easier. So I like to do that. We're gonna put it on, we're gonna blend it till it's smooth, and then we'll do the next batch. That's the second batch. And you can see what you get is this beautiful, thick, and kind of to me the perfect consistency fruit butter. It has the pear, and what is the best here is it has the essence of everything you want. You get the pear, you get the cinnamon, you get that vanilla note, just kind of those warm fall spices. So at this point, if you wanted to, you could put this into freezer safe containers and you could just freeze it. That's what I often have done with my apple butter or other things, just because sometimes in the fall, you're maybe not in the mood to can. But if you want to, we're gonna can this and make it shelf stable, which is really just as easy. But you wanna bring this back up to a boil, because anything you can, you want everything hot when you're ready to go. So I'm gonna put this on the stove, bring it just to a nice simmer all throughout to make sure it's really getting heated. And we're gonna put it into jars, put it into a water bath, and we're gonna have pear butter. It's so simple. I'm finishing up putting this all in the jar. So when you're wanting to boil this, you don't want to come to a hard boil because it's thick enough that if it boils hard on the stove, it just wants to spurt and splatter everywhere. So instead you want it to boil just enough that you're getting a nice kind of simmer and you're having to stir it constantly. Then you kind of know that that's what you need to do. So I'm putting and filling the jars up to about 1/4 inch of headspace. And that means the little space that's above the fruit butter to the top of the jar. And then I'm just fitting them with a lid and a ring. I also wipe, before I put the lid and ring on, I wipe off the top with just some hot water, just to make sure there's no contaminants. It helps you make sure you have a good seal. Now, when I got these jars out, because jars you reuse, that's the best part of canning, it's completely recycled. I've had these for years. You want to inspect them to find if you have any chips, which this one, as I was going, I did. I found a little nick there. And it's right on the rim, which means most likely it would impede a good seal and it would not seal. And so if you sometimes have a jar that doesn't seal and you didn't check your jars, you might have had a chip. So it's always something you want to check. You put the ring on, you just kind of tighten it to fingertip tightness, which means tight enough that you go just a little bit more, but you don't want to because it's pretty hard. And this is why I do everything like this on a rack on a baking sheet. It catches drips, but it also helps me transport it to the water bath really easily. So I bring it right over. I have my boiling water bath ready to go. You know, in a canner, you always want to make sure you have a rack in the bottom that will raise the jars from the bottom because you never want a jar to hit the bottom. That could cause it to crack, to break, to explode. As long as it lifts it, which if you buy a canner with a rack, you're good to go. And then you want the water to cover them, put them in, let them process. It doesn't take long at all, and they're shelf stable. So you can see it's a great option instead of freezing. Once you're done with the processing time, you just take them all out, and I kind of just tip them slightly sideways as I take them out to get some of that excess water off the top. But honestly, it takes no time. And then as they sit, they need to sit for like 12 to 24 hours before you take off the rings. But in hopefully that first hour, they should all seal. You'll hear a little ping or pop music to a canner's ears. That just means that all the air has released from the jar and you have a tight seal. After 12 to 24 hours, you can remove these rings, which you want to do because you want to check that seal. Make sure it's tight, make sure it's good, and it's not a false seal. If you keep these rings on, you may never know if you have an actual good seal. Once you do, you can store them in wherever you store your canned goods. I put mine in the basement. I have an old house, so I have an old basement, and that's where I put them. But whatever works, and look, you have beautiful pear butter. It is great as a gift, let me tell you. This is such a fun thing, but it's also good to use on your yogurt, on your oatmeal. I even love to mix it and use it on like pork, like you would an apple or an apple butter. It works in a lot of different ways. So you can also just use it on some great bread. I had some left. I know, lucky me. And look at that beautiful consistency. That's what I love about it. And it has just that beautiful kind of thickness, but not too thick and yet not too thin. It's that perfect amount. And while you're cooking, if you don't think it's cooking down right, remove the lid and let it continue cooking until you get to that right amount. Oh, this is great. I love it because it's that warm coziness you want, but it also complements whatever bread you're putting it with. So it doesn't overpower. It just has that perfect smoothness to it. Kids love it because you get just the hints of sweetness and cinnamon and vanilla. Pear, my nieces and nephew love it. My sister makes this, and it's always a hit. With anyone, it's a hit. So if you happen to have pears, that's what you need to make. If you don't, you can go find some pears at a farmer's market, maybe a orchard, and actually pick some yourself and enjoy them. Can up some pear butter, use it over the winter months, give it for gifts, whatever it is, it's the best. So what do I hope you do? I hope you make it because that's the best part. Sharing this and enjoying it with your family is what makes a difference. And sharing these videos around helps me so much, and it helps everyone else see this is so doable and easy. You can can at home, not have to make a huge amount, and do it in the afternoon or evening and have fun with it. So share it around, check my website, wiseguy.com for this recipe, all my other recipes. And until next time, enjoy the fruits of the season. You can't always say that and it works, but this does.